right, guys, let's talk a little bit about adding, subtracting, and multiplying with polynomials. So this should all be review for you from Algebra 1, but as we've discussed previously, that was a long time ago for some of us, so we need to review some skills that are going to be crucial throughout this year. So when we're adding polynomials, all that's really asking us to do is go through and combine any terms that have the same variable parts. Okay, some of you in Algebra 1 might have learned to use shapes to identify. So for example, we could circle our x squared terms, we could box our plain x terms, and then we could use a triangle for our constants. Okay, some of you might just have learned to go through and find things that match up and put them together. Regardless, when we are adding things together, we're just looking for pieces that we can combine. So 5x squared and 6x squared is going to make 11x squared. Positive 4x and negative x is going to make a positive 3x. And then 2 and a negative 1, a positive 2 and a negative 1 is going to make plus 1. So this would simplify to 11x squared plus 3x plus 1. When we are subtracting two polynomials, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to have to combine our like terms, except we have to recognize that there is this negative sign touching my second set of parentheses. So what that means is that everything in there is being multiplied by that negative 1, because remember, there's an imaginary 1 right here being multiplied out. Okay, all that's going to do, you can think of it as being distributed through this whole entire set of parentheses, but all that's going to do, since there's no value out there except for the negative sign, is change the sign on all of these terms. So you can just think of it as changing all of the signs inside this set of parentheses and then going ahead and combining our like terms like we did previously. Okay. And since we've already distributed that negative sign, we don't need this anymore. We've already distributed it out. We've already changed all of our signs. So now we can just combine the terms as they are. So I've got a positive 3x squared and a negative 4x squared, which is going to yield a negative 1. 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1. I don't have to write the 1. I can just write it as negative x squared. Then I have negative 2x plus x, so that's going to be minus x. And then 1 plus 7 is plus 8. For multiplying polynomials, we have to distribute every term in the first polynomial to the second polynomial. And we're going to do that using distribution. So some of you called it the rainbow method, where I'm going to distribute every term, both terms in the first term to every term in the second one, and then combine like terms. If you had a binomial and a binomial, you might have learned it as the FOIL method. So that is the same principle as what we're doing here, but we can't call it FOIL because we've got more than 2 terms in that second polynomial. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply that 5x times everything in the second polynomial. So 5x times 2x squared gives me 10x to the third. 5x times 4x gives me a positive 20x squared. 5x times 3 gives me plus 15x. So I've distributed that 5x to everything. Now we're going to distribute this negative 2 to everything. So I've got negative 2 times 2x squared gives me negative 4x squared. Notice how I'm writing it right below the other x squared term. That's just going to make it a little bit easier to combine. Okay, now we've got negative 2 times 4x, which is negative 8x, and negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6. So we're going to combine together our terms, and we get a final answer of 10x cubed plus 16x squared plus 7x minus 6. And then for this multiplication, I've just got one constant outside my parentheses. It's going to distribute to everything on the inside. We get 12m plus 18n. Okay, let's do these two examples over here. Top one says, find the perimeter of a triangle with side lengths 9x minus 10, x squared plus 4, and 2x squared. So doesn't matter which sides we write them on. We don't even have to draw a picture, but for some of us, visualizing it's going to help. Okay, we find the perimeter of objects by adding together all the sides. So I'm just combining my like terms. So I have x squared and 2x squared. I've got a 9x and a negative 10. So x squared and 2x squared makes 3x squared plus 9x minus 10. Okay, this next one, difference between. Difference means we're subtracting. So I'm going to change that to subtraction. Okay, when you subtract, remember that gets distributed to every term inside. So we've got to change all of our signs on the inside here. So this is negative 6x squared, negative 8x, and positive 6. We're going to combine together our x squareds, our x's, and our constants. So 7x squared minus 6x squared is 1x squared. 8x minus 8x is 0, so I no longer have an x term. And then negative 4 and positive 6 is positive 2.